On behalf of Jerry Foster of the United States Navy Seabees, your host today, I'm Ed Williams from the VFW, and I'll be your Master of Ceremonies. I'd like to ask our acting chaplain, Charlie Gilbert, offer an opening prayer. Charlie?
Uncover!
O God, eternal Father and everlasting King of heaven and earth, we render the acknowledgement of thy supreme dominion over us and gratitude for your paternal solicitude and watchfulness. As we gather here in humble recognition of thy divine providence, we beseech you to usher into our world of confusion and doubt the peace and tranquility which alone can come from thee. Bless and protect our nation. Be merciful to our honored dead. The memory of those whose valor, courage, and heroism inspire us to noble action. And to eternal vigilance in the preservation of our priceless liberty and our inalienable rights to enduring happiness. Guide and direct our minds to a thorough understanding of our duties to thee, to our country, and to one another. Awaken in our hearts the desire and the will to accomplish the ideals for which this nation exists, so that out of our determination and endeavor there will emerge a better world.
Will the commanders of the veterans units report to the podium, please? As we gather here this morning, let us not forget that today is a day of celebration, not of mourning. It is the day we celebrate with all veterans, the living and the dead. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month represents the signing of the armistice, ending World War I. It was a day of celebration, like today. As most of you know, we have been involved in a war against terrorism for several years now. Not only in Iraq, but in Afghanistan as well. It's not only the regular soldiers and sailors and airmen that have been involved, but a new breed of men and women that the old-timers would refer to as weekend warriors, or those damn reservists. Well, today, those weekend warriors and reservists make up the bulk of those that are fighting this war on terrorism. I've been informed that some 60 men and women from Wilmington have participated presently in that war against terrorism, and they join a long line of veterans that put their lives on hold and went off to battle to serve their country in time of need. No longer are they excluded from veteran organizations that required them to serve in war or have an overseas medal. They will be welcomed into these veterans organizations with open arms. Whether they were on the front lines or were cooks or worked in the supply room, they all contributed to the demise of a tyrant in Iraq and hopefully the freedom of the Iraqi people to rule themselves. Or they participated in Afghanistan and attempted to capture the terrorists who brought acts of terrorism to this nation and other parts of the world. Who are these veterans which I speak about? They could be your neighbors, relatives, or men or women who live down the street. Just ordinary people who at the time their country needed them answered the call. Some made the ultimate sacrifice and never returned. Their membership in all veteran organizations is declining at an alarming rate, and the modern veterans are not joining for various reasons. The voice the veterans had in Washington is slowly disappearing, and and it won't be long before our voices won't be heard. There is strength in numbers. We veterans learned that when we were in the service. We need veterans to join our ranks so our voices can be heard and we can save some of those benefits before they are taken away from us. So how can you help? If you know a veteran, a relative, a friend, a neighbor, ask them to join us in our fight to save the veterans' benefits that this country gave us for our duty in its time of need. In the meantime, as you enjoy this holiday, pause a moment and say a little prayer for all the veterans, the living and the dead, that fought to preserve the freedoms that we enjoy. I will ask the commanders to report to the flagpole to assist in raising the flag. I'll ask the band to play our national anthem while the flag is being raised. We'll ask those attending the ceremony to join us in the playing of the national anthem. Commanders of the units, call your units to attention.
CVs, dead, put.
Peace and ho! I'd like to introduce Ms. Marcy Rizzo, representing Jim Maselli. Marcy.
Good morning. Representative Maselli, he's sorry he couldn't be here this morning for the special event he had previously. Today, we thank all of our generations of veterans. Veterans who have fought to keep freedom safe in America, and veterans who have fought to extend that freedom around the world. Today, we also like to thank the soldiers that are in Iraq and Afghanistan now, who are paying the price on our behalf. We look forward to their safe return. I would also like to thank everybody who's participating in the ceremony today, all the veterans who are here, who live in Wilmington. In closing, I'd like to read a quote by George Orwell that reflects the courage of our servicemen and servicewomen. We sleep safely in our beds because rough men stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would do us harm. Thank you, and God bless America.
I'd like to introduce some of the people that are here from the town. Selectman Michael McCoy, Selectman Frank West, Selectman Michael Newhouse, Selectman Suzanne Sullivan, and I'd like to have Selectman Ray Lepore say a few words. Ray?
have great pleasure to speak today and to address all veterans of war. I have much respect and appreciation for veterans, especially for their tribute, courage, and sacrifice. They work hard to protect our country and to ensure one of the greatest values, which is freedom. Several of my family members were veterans of war, and they dedicated their lives to preserving our freedom. I was named after my uncle, Raymond Nicholas, who fought and was killed in the Normandy invasion at the age of 19. His brother also was killed on a naval battleship during the war. On this day, Veterans Day, I remember my relatives, along with all the other veterans who fought bravely for this country. We should show appreciation of all the men and women, both past and present, who have served in the military. These men and women must not be forgotten, but rather should be remembered for all their contributions. Wars of the past were typically longer, and today's tend to be shorter, yet the effects are the same. We must show our respect and gratitude for the accomplishments of veterans by being more understanding, patient, and kind. We must try not to create an environment filled with evil, which veterans fought bravely to eliminate. May we always take the time to salute all these people of honor and fully respect all of their accomplishments as they would want. Peace to all.
Thank you, Ray. I'd like to introduce Senator Bruce Time. Bruce?
Thank you and good morning. It's a great honor to be here with all of you today as we commit one of the most important acts of our citizenship in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and certainly in the United States of America. And that's to stand and recognize the people that have given us all of the freedoms that we enjoy, the people that have made the sacrifice, the people that have lost a limb or carry a bitter memory of a battle that didn't go well, or the people that didn't make it when they came back or didn't come back to these shores. A time when we find it in our hearts to give a thanks to those who have made the sacrifice and those who continue to do so. Throughout Veterans Days in years past, we have thought about all of the veterans that have come before. And we've thought about great wars like World War I and World War II and conflicts like Vietnam. But many of us have often wondered as we send people to Afghanistan and to Iraq, and as we've lost 44 men and women since the events of September 11th, not that long ago, we've wondered, would we continue to stand and support our veterans? And for the past several months in the Massachusetts legislature, Representative Murphy, Representative Maselli, and I have been working with our colleagues to make a new statement on behalf of all of those veterans that are serving today. And to say that just as the people that served before us, just as the people that gathered in this common and other places for so many years before, that our generation, our legislature, our citizens would stand behind our veterans. And so as we worked into the evening last night, we passed new legislation called the Welcome Home Bill. Legislation that is being signed this morning at the State House by Governor Romney. Legislation that answers in the affirmative the question that we have asked. Would we stand by our veterans? Answers that we will, with educational benefits, with insurance benefits, with bonus payments, and with increased salary payments for those who leave the service of our state to engage in the service of our nation. That bill is an expression by all of us, by committing tens of millions of tax dollars to our veterans, that we will stand by them. No matter what happens, we will be here when they serve abroad, and we will be here when they return home, each and every day as we pray for that safe return. So on this Veterans Day, I ask that we all think about that commitment, that we commemorate what has been accomplished in the legislature in the past few days and this morning, and we say to all of our veterans, yes indeed, we still care, we still love you, we still pray for you when you're not here, and we appreciate you when you return. We are a citizenry of Massachusetts that embraces our veterans and says thanks for the greatest gifts that you have given us, freedom and democracy and peace. Thank you very much.
I also want to thank and introduce our Veterans Agent, Lucy Miglia, and and our Assistant Town Manager, Jeff Hill. Jeff?
During this month of Thanksgiving, it is particularly important that we give thanks to all the men and women who have served our country and have sacrificed so much and asked for so little in return to protect the freedoms and opportunities that we all too often take for granted. To all of our veterans, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
I will now ask our acting chaplain with our commanders to place a wreath at the monument. Unit 10, hug! Back row of the honor guard, would you prepare to fire volley at 3? I would like to acknowledge some people. Deputy Chief Mike McGonis and his men for the excellent jobs with traffic control and continued cooperation. Jeff Hull, representing Town Manager Mike Kyra for his support to the veterans of this town. Support of the Public Works, Don Odmondset for his excellent job he and his crew have done and continue to do for the upkeep of the town's parks and commons. And thank everyone for participating in the celebration and all those that came to observe the ceremony. Let us take a moment of silent prayer for our men and women overseas and ask for their safe return. I will ask the band to play a march and have the veterans units pass in review as they exit the area. Police Department, you be the honor to lead us.
Okay. Police, post. Right shoulder, home.
Yes.
Look out. One side, home. Dick. He's got a camera and a booger hanging out.
Our veterans working.
His nose is cold.
Sure is. Thanks a lot.
Need to keep it warm. Need to get your little nose thing.
Oh yeah, it's great. Christian had to work, so I was crying my eyes out as they raised the flag.
Okay.
It's very moving. I'm gonna go get my band kit. We'll see you later. Have a good day,
So you're
Dick.
gonna pick up the other girl too?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll see you back in home. All right. I'm off the council.
Thanks for the nose help.
Oh, anytime. Hey,